Hello everyone. Welcome back to another Commander review for Magic the Gathering. We are finishing up the Unhinged set with the one, the only, the legendary Richard Garfield, Ph.D., who is a legendary creature, human designer, so designer creature type. It's a 2/2, and it has a mana value of 5, 3 generic and 2 blue. And I apologize, I know this and the past couple videos for the Unhinged set have not had the best images, and I don't know why it's been so hard getting a good image of these cards, but it has, so I apologize for that. It has this weird static ability. You may play cards as though they were other Magic cards of your choice with the same mana cost. Mana cost includes color, so it's got to be like if you're playing oh goodness, what's a weird example of this would be like if you're playing Kodama's Reach, which is a green sorcery that costs 2 and a green, and it lets you tutor up 2 basic lands, 1 to put into play, 1 into your hand. You cannot substitute, when you cast that spell, you cannot substitute Kodama's Reach with Idyllic Tutor. Idyllic Tutor also costs 3 mana, but it costs 2 generic and 1 white, and it lets you tutor up an artifact or an enchantment. But because of the difference between the green and the white pips, it actually doesn't work that way. So if you are going to play Kodama's Reach, you could name, what's the other one? Kodama's Reach or Rampant Growth? Is that, no, not Rampant Growth. That's the one I'm thinking of. Boop! I'm gonna look this up. Search for 2 land. Do. You could, oh boy, nope. Mana value 3. That. Wet? Oh, not is commander. There we go. Oh, you could do cultivate, and then name Kodama's Reach. They both do the exact same thing, so that's a bad example. But they do have the same mana value, 2 generic and 1 green. So it's a weird example, but yes, you can name Cultivate as you cast Kodama's Reach. Or if you wanted, while I have my phone out here, you wanted to do something a little bit more powerful, you could do you could cast Cultivate, but then change it to be Flare of Cultivation, which allows you to search your library for... No, it does the exact same thing! Stop doing the same thing, you guys. Good heavens. Anyway, hopefully you guys get what I'm saying. As long as it has the same mana value, including color, you can play the card that's in your hand, but have it be any other card of that same exact mana value. So this card is absolutely insane, because it requires you to know your Magic cards. And that's absurd on so many levels, and it breaks the game on so many levels. But we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So, first of all, as far as the rules are concerned, this card is banned. So if you are going to play with this as your commander, please talk with your play group beforehand. Make sure that they are okay with it. I think that you will have some very funny and memorable experiences playing with the silver bordered cards from time to time. Just double check with your group is all. There are 2 rules for this commander. First is Richard Garfield, Ph.D. essentially makes you play a variant of the Magic game called Mental Magic. Here's how the game works. Whenever you cast a spell, you reveal the card to all players and choose any other card, see below for the cards, blah blah blah, that has that card's mana cost. Note that color very much does matter, like I said earlier. That spell can then be cast as though it were the chosen card. You aren't allowed to choose the same card twice, which is very crazy. So it's this crazy singleton way of playing the game, but you're already playing singleton because you're playing Commander, so really cool. By default, this is the second rule, you are limited to cards legal in the format you're playing. If you're playing draft or sealed deck, you can name any card available in the format you're playing. If you're playing with unsanctioned decks, anything goes. Discuss with your play group if you'd prefer to modify or eliminate these limitations. So again, that's something to do with like mental magic and how that variant works. But yeah, if you were playing Commander, essentially you would only be able to name cards that are legal in Commander, which for the most part is every card except for what's on the banned list. So that's one of the cool things about the Eternal format of Commander is you can name any card in Magic's history as long as it has the same mana value, including color. Think of mental magic as like Sherlock Holmes and James Moriarty playing like mental chess without actually sitting at a chessboard, and they're just naming the pieces, but they know what's going on in their head. This is the same thing. It's a bit silly, it's a bit wonky, but it's really cool. Oh my gosh, I forgot there's more card rulings on this card. Alright, let's keep going. Playing cards as though they weren't other cards is optional, so you can play the Cultivate as a Cultivate if you want. Each Richard tracks its own list of played cards. If one leaves the battlefield and another enters, cards previously played under the first Richard are available once again. This is a great example of what it means to bounce a permanent, or to flicker a permanent, or to reanimate a permanent, or to cast a permanent again. It counts as a new permanent. So anytime, like Exhaust mechanic, which we just recently got in the Ether Drift set, was like you can only use the Exhaust ability once per game. But if you can remove that creature from the battlefield and then bring it back in some way, shape, or form, it recognizes itself as a new version of that permanent, so the Exhaust restriction is no longer applied because this is a new permanent of the same name. So this rule follows that exactly. If you can bounce or flicker your Richard Garfield, then you can name cards that you have previously named from earlier in the game, which is really cool. If more than one player controls a Richard Garfield Ph.D., the cards one player plays has no effect on the other players. For example, each player could play a Savannah Lions as a Swords to Plowshares this way. Similar to how multiple players can have exhaust creatures and use those exhaust abilities, it works the same thing. Your stuff is your stuff, my stuff is my stuff, and we're just going to do our thing against each other, of course. And then lastly, the same is true if Richard Garfield Ph.D. changes controllers. If you play a Savannah Lions as a Swords to Plowshares, then an opponent gains control of Richard Garfield Ph.D., that player can do the same. Just because that player has not started their list yet, essentially. If they're stealing Richard Garfield for the first time, they don't even have a list started yet, so they can start their own list, which is really, really cool. Absolutely absurd card. Mental magic, mental chess, it's ridiculous. And what are we going to do with this commander? I think what I chose to synergize with this commander, because again, it's just so wonky, what I chose to synergize with this commander was Urza's Incubator, mostly because it's 3 mana, and it allows you to... You can use it for whatever you want of anything 3 mana. However, if you did use it as itself, and you were playing like a creature type, it just makes it so you could play bigger spells at a cheaper cost, and then still get the value of naming them whatever you want to be. So you could take it 2 different ways. Have Urza's Incubator become anything you want. It could be a 3 mana rock, it could be a 3 mana draw engine. It has to be 3 colorless mana, so bear that in mind, 3 colorless mana. But It can be whatever you want it to be for 3 mana. If you played it as itself, however, you can play with whatever deck you've built around it and take advantage of those creatures, at least, to be whatever you need them to be. They could be spells instead of creatures, but you're casting them as creatures initially, which is really cool. Of course, like all the silver bordered cards, I am building a silver bordered deck. It's just supposed to be funny. No real win condition. It's just supposed to be a memorable, silly experience for my playgroup. Like our previous video with Johnny Combo Player, because you can name any card of the same mana value, if you fill your deck correctly, you could just play a combo deck, because if you wanted to do the crazy shenanigans of the Isochron Scepter, Dramatic Reversal, infinite mana, then all you have to do is play a bunch of 2 mana artifacts, and then 1 and 1 blue mana spells for the Dramatic Reversal. And then you just name those cards, and then they do that thing, and it's absolutely absurd. So, very, very powerful combo commander. Very, very broken, obviously, because you're not really playing Magic anymore. You're playing your own game. Absolutely wacky, silly. And then lastly, I was thinking, what would be a really fun way to play this? And I think this would be hilarious to play as a Cheerios commander, as a cereal commander, because anything that has 0 mana is 0 mana, right? If I'm understanding that correctly. So, let me check. Let me just double check here. I wanna make sure. Ancestral Vision. Oops. There we go. I know how to spell. My goodness, what is going on here? I keep getting the S and the N mixed up. There we go. Ancestral Vision. What is this card's mana value? Yes, it does have a color identity. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of rules associated with Ancestral Visions. Most of it just has to do with how Suspend works. Blah, blah, blah. Cost you must choose 0. Yep. Yeah, let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to make sure I'm correct on this. From what I understood, this should work, but hear me out. And again, let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong. But if you wanted, you could play in a quarter shield, and you could name Lotus Petal or Ancestral Vision and be able to play it, because both of them have a mana value of 0. Because I know you can cascade into Ancestral Vision, because Ancestral Vision has mana value less than any card that has Cascade that printed on it. And so I know people have built decks, maybe not with Ancestral Visions, but some of the other versions of this card type, of this cycle, I mean, where they cascade or they discover into one of these spells that has 0 mana on it, and it's been able to work. So let me know in the comments below if I'm getting confused here, but I'm pretty sure you could cast in a quarter shield and then have it resolve as an Ancestral Vision, so you could draw 3 cards over and over and over again, and just draw your whole deck out into a win condition of some kind. But absolutely crazy. I mean, this would be a very cool Storm deck to build around if this would work. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Cheerios, Storm, Shenanigans, Mental Chess, Magic the Gathering. Absolutely crazy. And that's going to do it for Richard Garfield, Ph.D. Like all of the cards, or the silver bordered cards specifically, outside of its creature types and the deck ideas in this video, and maybe a few other places elsewhere, there's not a whole lot to build around with this commander because it's a silver bordered card, so people just don't play with it, so it's not that popular. So it does have the ranking of S, but that doesn't mean that's not a great card and that you can have some weird, wacky games with this. Of all of the commanders in the set, this is by far the most broken, but I think it's the most funny and interesting to interact with for sure. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think, if there's anything I missed or any cards that I did not talk about or deck ideas that I did not talk about. And thanks again for watching, guys. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Oh, by the way, this is the end of the Unhinged set. So when you come back for the next video, it should be the Unhinged set review before we get into Betrayers of Kamigawa. So great stuff there. Anyway, thanks again, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!